My name is Valentina Rossi, and this is the story of how I discovered that some inheritances come with a price that money cannot pay. The family lawyer, Dr. Benedetti, handed me the documents with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. I stared at the papers without being able to process the information that my uncle Giovanni had died just 1 week ago. A sudden heart attack at 58 years old, according to the death certificate. And now I, his niece whom he barely knew, had inherited the entire fortune of the Rossi family. There must be a mistake, I murmured. I hadn't even spoken to my uncle in years. There's no mistake, Signora. Your uncle was very specific in his. Well, everything goes to you. The businesses, the properties, the bank accounts. But what Dr. Benedetti didn't tell me in that moment, and what I would discover in the worst possible way, was that, along with the inheritance, I had also inherited Giovanni's enemies, and that some of these enemies were sitting in the same room with me, pretending to be my family. I'm 32 years old, and until a week ago, I was just an art teacher in Milan, living a simple and peaceful life. The Rossi family had always been a mystery to me. My father, Marco, was Giovanni's younger brother, but they had a falling out when I was a child. Dad never told me the reason. He only said, some families have secrets that are better left unknown. When my parents died in a car accident 5 years ago, Giovanni appeared at the funeral. It was the first time I saw him in person. He was imposing, well-dressed, with that air of authority that some people are born with. If you need anything, Valentina, he said, giving me a business card, call me. I never called. I never needed to. Or at least, I thought I didn't need to. Now I was sitting in Dr. Benedetti's luxurious office, surrounded by relatives I barely knew. I was beginning to understand why my father had distanced himself from the family. My cousin Francesca, Giovanni's daughter, looked at me with poorly concealed hatred. This is absurd, she murmured to her husband, Antonio. She wasn't even part of the family. My cousin Roberto, Francesca's brother, tried to maintain his composure, but I could see his hands trembling with rage. Dad must have lost his mind. In his final months, he said. It's impossible that he did this consciously. And then there was Matteo, Giovanni's right-hand man, as Dr. Benedetti introduced him. He didn't say a word during the entire reading of the will, just observed me, with cold, calculating eyes. The transition will be gradual, Dr. Benedetti explained. Signora Valentina will need time to understand the family business. What kind of business? I asked, naively. The silence that followed was deafening. In the first days after the reading of the will, I tried to understand the empire I had inherited. Giovanni owned restaurants, construction companies, importers, nightclubs. Everything seemed legitimate on the surface, but there were strange things. Meetings marked in code, payments without explanation, employees who looked at me with fear. When I asked questions, Signora Valentina, said Giuseppe, the company's oldest accountant, perhaps it's better if you don't get too involved in the operational details. Your uncle always preferred ... discretion. Discretion? About what? Giuseppe looked away. Some businesses are complex. They require ... special relationships. That's when I began finding the hidden documents, contracts with false names, bank transfers to offshore accounts, correspondence with names I recognized from the news, names linked to the Sicilian mafia. My God, I whispered, flipping through a folder full of suspicious receipts. Giovanni was laundering money. But this was only the tip of the iceberg. Week after discovering the documents, I received my first official visit. 2 men in suits appeared in my apartment. They didn't knock on the door, they simply entered, as if they had keys. Signora Rossi, said the taller one with a strong Sicilian accent, we need to talk. Who are you? How did you get into my house? We are partners of your uncle Giovanni. And we have some concerns about the transition of business. They sat in my living room as if they owned the place. The shorter one, with a scar on his face, placed a folder on the table. Your uncle owed us some favors. We hope you will honor these commitments. I opened the folder with trembling hands. Inside were photos of me leaving home, entering work, having lunch with friends. They had been following me.
I don't
understand. I lied. What kind of favors? Giovanni facilitated certain dot operations for us. He allowed us to use his companies to move resources. In exchange, we protected his business. And if I don't want to continue this partnership? The two men looked at each other and smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. Senora, in our line of work, retirement is not an option. You have inherited more than money. You have inherited responsibilities. After the men left, I called Francesca desperate. Maybe she could explain what I had gotten myself into. Francesca, I need to talk to you. It's about your father's business. What business, Valentina? Her voice was cold, distant. You know, very well. The mafia, money laundering, all of it. There was a long pause. Where are you? At home. Please come here, I'm scared. Francesca arrived in half an hour, but she wasn't alone. Antonio and Roberto came with her, and they all had expressions that were too serious. So you've discovered, said Roberto, helping himself to my whiskey without asking permission. Discovered what? That my uncle was a criminal. Your uncle was an intelligent businessman, Antonio corrected. He understood how the world really works. And you? Did you know everything? Francesca laughed, but it was a bitter sound. Did we? No. Valentina, we participated. Who do you think helped Dad manage the operations? I felt the floor collapse beneath my feet. You're all criminals. We're a family, said Roberto. And families protect each other. But you're not really family, are you? What do you mean? Antonio leaned forward. We mean that Dad made a mistake leaving everything to you. A mistake we need to correct. Are you going to kill me? It's not necessary, Francesca smiled. You'll sign a power of attorney transferring everything back to us. Voluntarily. And if I don't sign? Roberto showed a photo on his phone. It was my best friend, Clara, leaving work. It would be a shame if something happened to the people you love, don't you think? That night, after my cousins left, something inside me broke. It wasn't just fear, it was a cold, calculating rage that I didn't know I possessed. I decided to investigate deeper. If I was going to die for this inheritance, at least I wanted to understand why Giovanni had chosen me. I searched his office in the villa that was now mine. In a secret drawer, I found a letter with my name on it. My dear Valentina, the letter began. If you're reading this, it means I'm dead and you've discovered the truth about our family. I ask your forgiveness for putting you in this situation, but you're the only one I can trust. I continued reading, my hands trembling. Your cousins don't know, but I discovered they're planning to kill me. Francesca and Roberto made a deal with the Sicilians to take control of the business. They think I don't know, but I have proof of everything. My heart began beating fast. Giovanni knew he was going to die. I left everything to you because I know you're like your father, honest, courageous. Marco distanced himself from the family because he disagreed with our methods, but I never had the courage to leave. Now you have the chance to do what I never managed to do, destroy all of this from within. The letter continued with detailed instructions on where to find evidence against the entire criminal operation of the family. In the safe behind grandmother's painting, you'll find documents that can bring down not only our family, but the entire money laundering network of northern Italy. Use them wisely. I found the safe exactly where Giovanni said it would be. Inside were USB drives, documents, photos, audio recordings. It was a complete archive of 20 years of criminal activities. There were recorded conversations of Francesca, negotiating with traffickers, photos of Roberto receiving dirty money, contracts signed by Antonio in laundering operations, and there was something more shocking, evidence that they had killed Giovanni. It hadn't been a heart attack, it was poisoning. I had in my hands proof of my uncle's murder. They killed their own father, I whispered. Looking at a recording where Francesca discussed the details of the poisoning in that moment, I made a decision. I wouldn't just protect myself. I would destroy them all. Giovanni had given me the weapons. Now I needed to have the courage to use them. But first, I needed help. And I knew exactly who to look for. I remembered a name I had seen repeatedly in Giovanni's documents. Commissioner Elena Bianchi of the Financial Guard. Apparently, she had been investigating the Rossi family for years. I arranged a meeting with her at a discreet cafe in downtown Milan. "Signora Rossi," she said, analyzing me carefully. "I must admit, I was surprised by your phone call. I have information that might interest you." "About my family? What kind of information?" I placed a USB drive on the table. Evidence of 20 years of money laundering, trafficking, and murder. Her eyes brightened. "Murder? My cousins killed their own father to take control of the business. And now they want to kill me too." Elena took the USB drive. "Why are you doing this? You're betraying your own family." "They're not my family. Families don't kill each other for money." She connected the USB drive to her laptop and began examining the files. As she saw the content, her expression changed from skepticism to shock, then to determination. "My God, Valentina, this is ... This is enough to bring down an entire network. So, you'll help me? I'll do more than that. I'll protect you and ensure they all pay for what they've done." Elena explained that we couldn't simply arrest everyone immediately. We needed more evidence, especially about the connections with the Sicilian mafia. "You'll have to continue pretending you don't know anything," she said. "We'll monitor your conversations, record everything. When they try to force you to sign the power of attorney, we'll have everything recorded." "What if they find out?" "They won't find out. We'll have a team protecting you 24 hours a day, without them noticing." When I left the cafe for the first time in weeks, I felt hope. I was no longer alone against a family of criminals. I had the law on my side, but what I didn't know was that Matteo, Giovanni's right-hand man, had followed me to the cafe, and he had seen everything. The next day, I received a call from Francesca. "Valentina, we need to resolve this situation today. Come to the villa at 8 p.m. We'll sign the documents and finish this. And if I don't want to sign, you'll want to. Trust me." I called Elena immediately. "They've set it for tonight. Perfect. We'll be ready. Remember, let them talk. The more they confess, the better for us." I arrived at the villa at 8 p.m. sharp. The house that should have been my inheritance now seemed like a mausoleum. Francesca, Roberto, and Antonio were in the living room, along with two men I didn't know, clearly Sicilians from their accents. "Valentina," said Roberto, "these are our partners from Palermo. They came especially to meet you." One of the Sicilians, a fat man with gold rings, examined me as if I were livestock. "So this is a problematic heiress," he said. "She doesn't look very dangerous." "Appearances can be deceiving, Don Salvatore," Antonio replied. "But today we'll resolve everything." Francesca placed the documents on the table. "Sign here, Valentina. Transfer everything back to us, and you can return to your little teacher's life. And if I don't sign, then you'll have the same fate as Dad," Roberto said casually. "Did you kill Giovanni?" "Obviously we killed him," Francesca laughed. "The old man was getting sentimental, wanted to leave the business. We couldn't allow that." Don Salvatore intervened. "Giovanni was weak. These young people are more practical. How did you do it?" I asked, knowing everything was being recorded. "Poison in his morning coffee," Antonio explained. "It perfectly simulates a heart attack. We learned the technique from our Sicilian friends." "And now you'll kill me too? Only if necessary?" said Roberto. "We'd prefer if you simply disappeared. Maybe a car accident like your parents." My blood froze. "Did you kill my parents too?" "Your father knew too much," Francesca explained. "He was threatening to expose the family business. We had no choice." In that moment, I felt a rage I had never experienced. They had killed my entire family for money. "You know what?" I said, standing up slowly. "You made a fatal mistake. What? Mistake? Roberto asked, suspicious. You thought I was as naive as I seem. That's when the doors opened and a financial guard burst into the room, led by Elena. Nobody move! Police! Chaos erupted. Don Salvatore tried to draw a weapon, but was immediately taken down. Roberto ran toward the window, but was intercepted. Francesca and Antonio were handcuffed while screaming that it was a trap. Valentina! Francesca screamed. You betrayed us. We're your family. You killed my family, I replied coldly. Now you'll pay for it. Elena approached me. We got everything. Complete confessions of murder, money laundering, criminal association. They'll never get out of prison. Matteo, who had remained silent during the entire operation, was the last to be arrested. When he passed by me, he whispered, "This doesn't end here, Valentina. We have friends in many places." "Maybe," I replied, "but you no longer have money to pay them." The trial of the Rossi family became the most famous criminal case in Italy that year. The evidence was so extensive that the trial lasted only 3 months. Francesca and Roberta were sentenced to life imprisonment for the murder of Giovanni and my parents. Antonio got 25 years for money laundering and criminal association. The Sicilians were extradited to face even more serious charges. Justice has been served, Elena told me after the sentence. Your courage saved many lives and dismantled one of Europe's largest money laundering networks. During the trial, I discovered more details about my parents' death. They really were investigating the family business and planning to go to the police. The accident was carefully orchestrated to appear natural. Your parents would be proud of you, the prosecutor said. They died trying to do the right thing, and you completed their work. With the criminal family in prison, I had to decide what to do with the inherited empire. Most of the assets were confiscated by the state as proceeds of crime, but some legitimate properties remained. I decided to transform the family villa into a support center for victims of organized crime. Casa Giovanni? I called it in honor of my uncle who, in the end, tried to do the right thing. It's ironic, Elena said during the inauguration, that the family's dirty money is now helping people free themselves from crime. I returned to my job as a teacher, but now I also give lectures on how to recognize and report criminal activities. My experience has become an example that it's possible to face organized crime and win. Today, 2 years later, I live a completely different life. I'm no longer rich. Most of the inheritance was dirty money. But I'm free. Free from the family that wanted me dead. Free from fear. Free from guilt. Sometimes I receive anonymous letters with threats, reminders that I still have enemies. But Elena has assured me that the network has been completely dismantled. The few remaining criminals no longer have power or resources. You did something extraordinary, Valentina, my friend Clara told me. You destroyed a criminal family from within. I didn't destroy a family, I corrected. I destroyed a criminal organization that disguised itself as a family. The real family are the people who supported me. Elena, who risked her career to protect. Clara, who stayed by my side even when it was dangerous. The work colleagues who welcomed me when I returned to teaching. I look at the photo of my parents on my desk and whisper, "We did it, Dad." The truth finally came to light. Giovanni was right when he said I was like my father, honest and courageous. But he underestimated one thing. I was also determined. Determined enough to destroy a criminal empire and rebuild something better. In its place, the inheritance I received wasn't money or property. It was the opportunity to seek justice. And this inheritance, unlike the others, no one can take away from me. The curse that came with the Rossi fortune has been broken. What remains is not gold or power, but something much more valuable. The truth and the peace that comes with it. This is my story. This is my victory. This is my redemption,